Dear students, today we shall discuss the subject Strategic Management 22 MBA 25. In this subject, we will be discussing about Introduction to Strategic Management, that is overview of strategic management, then external assessment, internal assessment, then formulation of different strategies and types of different strategies, implementation of strategies and evaluation of strategies, the techniques and tools we will be using or methods we apply to evaluate the new strategies. Now coming to introduction to strategic management. In this unit, we will be discussing about the meaning, importance and relevance of strategic management, characteristics of strategic management, the strategic management process, relation between company strategy and its business model. Now coming to the term strategy. What is strategy? A strategy is a large-scale, future-oriented plan for interacting with competitive environment to achieve objectives. That is, it's a process of determining long-term objectives by allocating certain courses of action and by allocating the resources. That is, by taking certain courses of action and by allocating the resources. If we plan for a long term, that process we call as strategy, or that is called as a strategy. It's a way of creating something new to achieve a long term goal and objectives, or it can also be called as a framework for managerial decisions, so that it will serve as a blueprint or draft for the managerial decisions, and also a tool to compare with the other strategies or strategies of the competitors. Now let us understand the meaning of strategic management. The set of decisions and actions that result in the formulation and implementation of plans designed to achieve a company's objectives. It is nothing but a set of decisions and actions that result in the formulation and implementation of plans designed to achieve a company's objectives, that we call as strategy. So if we apply the management concepts in that, in managing such strategies, we call that as strategic management. Strategic management is the process of formulating, implementing and evaluating strategies for an organization. According to Whalen and Hangers, strategic management is a set of managerial decisions and actions that determine the long-term performance of a corporation. That is, it involves environmental scanning, that is both external and internal, then strategy formulation, then that is strategic or long range planning, strategy implementation, evaluation and control. Let us discuss the critical tasks of strategic management. So the different types of tasks involved here are: the first one is formulate the company's mission, then develop company profile reflecting its internal conditions, then assess company's external environment, analyze company's options, then identify most desirable option, then select long-term objectives and grand strategies. So these are the different tasks that need to be performed in strategic management, and then develop annual objectives and short-term strategies. Once the strategies are developed, the strategy has to be implemented, implement the strategic choices, then evaluate success of the strategic process, then evaluate for the success of the newly framed strategy. Now let us understand the importance of strategic management. Here already we know that it is setting detailed goals, that is analyzing all our internal and external resources and analyzing our external environment, that is the marketplace. And also it helps to analyze stakeholders' views in formulating strategy, implementing the strategy and set up monitoring and reporting. Now coming to characteristics of strategic management. Strategic management seeks to match the strengths and weakness of the firm to the opportunities and threats in the marketplace. SM seek to match the firm's activities to the capabilities of the organization and its resources. SM commit the organization to changes in the use of its existing resources or to obtaining additional resources. They affect operational and administrative decisions. They are complex because there is always a high degree of uncertainty about environmental forces and outcomes. They affect the long term direction of the firm. So this is the diagrammatical representation of strategic management process. Here we have 5 different phases. The first phase is developing a strategic vision, followed by setting of objectives, then creating a strategy to achieve the objectives and vision, then implementing and executing the strategy. Fifth one is monitoring developments, evaluating performance, and making corrective adjustments. And the process repeats. The same can also be written in this way. Coming to the phase 1, that is developing a strategic vision. This involves thinking strategically about future direction of company, that is changes in company's product, market or customer, technology to improve, and current market position and future prospects. That means a strategic vision describes the route a company intends to take in developing and strengthening its business. That is, it lays out the company's strategic course in preparing for the future. So here we have the example of different vision statements. There are Starbucks, then Tesla, IKEA, Nike, and Google. So any company's vision statement we can quote as an example. So coming to the first one, Starbucks, their vision statement is to establish Starbucks as a premier purveyor of the finest coffee in the world. And that of Tesla is to create the most compelling car company of the 21st century by driving the world's transition to electric vehicles. So like this, so all such statements will imply what they are, that is what they intend to maybe in the future or in the coming year, in the next few years ahead, like that. So what they want to be or where they wanted themselves to be identified. So such a statement we call as vision statement. And mission statement is of the same, again has been given here. Mission statement of Starbucks is to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. So now let us understand key elements of a strategic vision. The elements include delineate management's aspiration for the business, so that shows delineate the management's aspiration. So what it aspires to be, what it desires to be, that we can come to know through a vision statement. And it provides a panoramic view of where we are going to, and charts a strategic path. So nothing but can be called as, it's a distinctive and specific to a particular organization, where it avoids use of generic language that is dull and boring and that could apply to most of any company. That is, it tries to capture the emotions of employees and steers them in a common direction, or is challenging and a bit beyond a company's immediate reach. Now, let us discuss the role of a strategic vision. A conceived, well communicated vision functions as a valuable managerial tool which helps to give the organization a sense of direction, mold organizational identity, and create committed enterprise. And also helps to illuminate the company's directional path, where it helps to provide managers with a reference point to make strategic decisions, translate the vision into the hard edged objectives and strategies, and prepare the companies for the future. Here we have the difference between strategic vision and mission. A strategic vision concerns a firm's future business path, where we are going, and whereas company's mission statement typically focuses on its present business purpose, that is who we are and what we are. Coming to the second phase, that is once we are clear with the vision and mission statement, then The firm tried to set the objectives, that is setting of objectives. Purpose of setting of objective is to convert vision into specific performance targets, that is creates stick to task performance. So where such objectives should be well stated, and they should be quantifiable and measurable, and should contain a deadline for achievement. So that is where it should clearly tell how much and of what kind of performance by when. So this will be directed through the objectives. Now coming to the importance of setting of such objectives. Objectives should be set at levels, that is at different levels of an organization, that stretch an organization to perform at its full potential and delivering the best possible results, and push firm to be more inventive and exhibit more urgency to improve its business position, and be intentional and focused in its actions. These are the characteristics of the objectives, and both the objectives can be framed in for short term and long term. So short term objectives, where they target towards the achievements, that is the targets to be achieved soon, and milestones or stage steps for reaching long range performance targets. And whereas long term objectives are targets to be achieved within 3 to 5 years, and calls for an action now that will permit reaching targeted long range performance later. And objectives are needed at all levels, that is objective setting process is more top down than bottom up. That is, first set organization wide objectives and performance targets, next set business and product line objectives, then establish functional and departmental objectives, then individual objectives are established at the end. Coming to the phase 3, that is once the vision and mission statements are clear and objectives are set, the strategy has to be crafted, that is crafting a strategy. Strategy making involves astute entrepreneurship, that is actively searching for opportunities to do new things, or crafting of strategy can also be said as actively searching for opportunities to do existing things in a better way. That is, strategizing involves developing timely responses to happenings in the external environment and steering company activities in new directions dictated by shifting market conditions. So, crafting a good strategy requires good business entrepreneurship. That is, developing a winning strategy involves diagnosing the direction and force of the market changes underway, and making timely strategic adjustments. And also, it requires spotting new or better ways to satisfy customer needs, and figuring out how to outwit and outweigh competitors. So this is about the different points to be considered, and here again how a strategy has to be framed and who should be involved in framing the strategy. Usually the top level executives like CEOs and senior executives will design the strategy, and managers of subsidiaries, divisions, geographic regions, plants, and other important operating units are also take part in crafting strategy. And why this strategy making nearly, that is a collaborative process, because the job is often way too big for one person or small executive, or for any small executive group. So many strategic issues are complex or cut across multiple areas of expertise. So that's the reason it is a collaborative process, so where it requires multiple expertise. So here again some information about how strategy can be crafted. Once the strategy is crafted, then the strategy has to be implemented. So that is implementing and executing the strategy. So before that, the organization should know what does implementing and executing the strategy involve. So that means it is building a capable organization and allocating resources to strategy critical activities, then establishing strategy supportive policies, instituting best practices and programs for continuous improvement, then installing information communication and operating system, then motivating people to pursue the target objectives, then tying rewards to achieve to the achievement of results, then creating a strategy supportive cooperative culture. Then once such strategies have been implemented, they have to be evaluated. So crafting and implementing a strategy is not a one time exercise. So customer needs and competitive advantage competitive conditions, they keep on changing. So relevant to that, the strategy has to be evaluated, and by considering the new opportunities, technology advances and number of other outside developments, no, so the strategy need to be evaluated, and monitoring, evaluating and adjusting has to be done. Suppose if any gap or need is been identified, so that has to be incorporated and a new strategy has to be formulated, and then again it has to be implemented. So during this course, some certain things need to be followed for the success of the strategy. So here we have few points which tells us uh, or which direct us towards the success of the strategy, implemented strategy. Next, we have a concept called business model. Business model, it concerns whether a revenue and cost flowing from a strategy demonstrate a business which is profitable and viable. To check whether the implemented strategy is profitable or viable, so again we'll be coming with different techniques. So that is called as a business model. So here we have few examples of business model, that is magazine and newspaper employee business model based on generating sufficient subscription and advertising to cover the cost of delivering their product to leaders, and McDonald intended a business model for a fast food economical quick service meals at a clean convenient location, and Walmart has perfected the business model for big box discounts, and Gillette's business model in razor blades involves selling the razors at a low price. So based on the strategy formulated, we'll be framing the business model. So this is about introduction to strategic management, where we discussed about what is strategy, strategic management process, then nature of strategic management, scope, importance, characteristics, then different phases in strategic management process, then business model and the comparison between strategy and business model.